recording. It's week 3 of Atomic Habits. And I now have a new Zoom account because my student account ran out.
Oh my.
Oh my. But hey, I'm done with school, so that's okay with me.
Good.
So what did you get out at just a very high level? What did you get out of the second law here, chapters 8 through 10?
The whole idea of make it attractive. Like the stuff that I really would like to make habits out of are not necessarily all really attractive in any way to me right now, but it's because of the way that I think about them. So doing the habit stacking thing where basically I do the thing that I'm trying to roll into a habit before I do the habit that I enjoy. Um, Totally makes sense, but also just the idea of like make it attractive. So the things that I would like to become, like I'm trying so hard to be somebody that goes to bed early. Um, I have to stop saying crap about going to bed early. Like, oh, I don't want to do it. I miss out on, like, I have to talk in my own head. I have to choose to think thoughts about going to bed early in a way that makes it attractive.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest takeaway from all of this, was that I need to change how I think about the things that I don't want to do. Mhm.
Yeah, there's definitely some things are a little more glamorous than others,
Right?
And I keep thinking about the making it attractive, or make the corollary of making it unattractive.
Yeah.
And the last week, from making it attractive, make it visible, or make the undesirable one invisible.
Right.
And right now, every time I walk through the kitchen, I see the bag after bag after bag after bag of cookies.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to figure out, how do I make those bags invisible? And I don't really have an answer to that right now.
Well, like, you can't, right?
Yeah.
There are some things that you can make invisible. Today, I baked cookies today. Like, my strategy for Christmas this year was to not go crazy. Like, I don't need to bake 10 different kinds of cookies. I baked my cookie, I baked Steve's cookie, and they are sitting on the counter. And every single time I walk into the kitchen, there they are.
Uh-huh.
And so where I'm going with the, like, okay, I'm not going to make it invisible. It's almost Christmas. How many times can I walk past it and not respond to the cue? Because in the past, every time I walked past the plate, I would eat a cookie.
Yep.
And now I'm actually doing the make it attractive thing, without even thinking about it. I walk past it and I don't eat the cookie. And I throw a mental marble in the bucket of, I walked past that plate and I did not eat a cookie. Go
That's
me.
right.
I'm amazing. And I'm building the dopamine of not eating the cookie. So I not making it invisible, but I am making it very attractive to walk past the plate. Um, because I'm giving myself that reward, and also knowing that eventually I am going to have a cookie, and when I do, it's going to be really, really good.
And there's, in the book, it talked about the dopamine spike and then the dopamine drop when you don't get that anticipation there. And I was thinking about the idea of dopamine feedback, and with the question of when have you noticed the anticipation feedback failing you, where the anticipation was better than the result?
Uh, the anticipation is pretty much always better than the result when it comes to like easy stuff like food. Um, in fact, it's like Christmas morning. Um, the anticipation of it is so much more than the 5 minutes it takes for the kids to rip through and get done. And then it's like, I did all of this anticipating for something
Yeah.
that happened so quickly. Um, I've been working on trying to think of how to work that's my advantage, like the want of something.
Yeah, and if we can recognize that we know the result isn't going to be as good, what could we substitute and change that direction?
Well, like even just like walking past the plate.
Yeah.
Cookies is honestly way better than the cookies. And I bake good cookies. They're really good cookies.
Mhm.
But knowing that I have self-control or that I've had thoughts that help me walk past the plate is way better than the cookie, honest to
Mhm.
God.
Mhm. If that helps reinforce this new identity we have,
Yes.
then and that's getting us closer to it, and having that awareness and connecting the two together helps reinforce that new identity.
Exactly. Exactly. Like identifying as somebody who I eat healthy. I do. I
Yeah.
eat healthy.
So have you tried using the temptation bundling and habit stacking?
I haven't. It's so hard for me to accept that as I guess it seems like a game, a trick.
Yeah.
Um, so I know that he says it's supposed to work. But okay, I guess really I haven't worked on having the thoughts that would lead me to want to use that. Like I'm just totally shut down. Like, no, there's no way that I'm ever going to want to do the thing I don't want to do because I'm going to be able to do the thing I do want to do afterwards. So maybe my work is deciding that maybe the guy who wrote the book
Mhm.
knows more than I do
Mhm.
and to give it a shot. Like as we're talking about, I realize I've been like a hard stop on this. Like, no, but I could get to a place where I wanted to change my thoughts about that.
Yeah. 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 One of the comments he made in there, recognizing that it's not absolutely cut and dried. It's not yes or no.
Right.
It's a game of averages of the more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. That doesn't mean every single time I want to sit down and watch one of my favorite TV shows that I will actually take my iPad into the studio and sit on the bike while I'm watching it and pedal while I'm watching that TV show. The probability is there that if I've set that up, I will probably do that.
Well, I mean, the other thing is like, how many times do you have to get it right? Like every single time that I walk past the cookie plate, I am not eating 100 calories. Um, so I don't need to get it right every single time
Yeah,
for it to, for it to be a benefit to me. If I get it right some of the time, that's better than never getting it right.
exactly.
So I could do better at changing my thinking around the whole idea of temptation reward. Um, temptation bundling.
Yes. Habit stacking and temptation bundling. So, what do you think of the power of the social norms and associations?
Oh, absolutely huge, massive, totally the truth. Um, somebody that I respect a lot that I follow. Um, when I went to Nashville, one of the things she talked about was like stop following twig women on social media. Follow women with real bodies that are willing to show their real body
Hmm.
to normalize what most of us look like. That one thing, like, has made me love myself so much more because I'm starting to see that women my age look like me. Like we've had children and scars, and we don't wear bikinis in public. And like seeing that that's how it really is with everybody makes it so much more acceptable in me.
Hmm.
Um, the association of being in a group with so many people that are focused on weight loss and personal growth, like that's what's become normal to me. So I seek it because I accept it as it's what people do.
Hmm.
People pay attention to what they eat. People pay attention to personal growth and putting good thoughts into their heads. Like that's just become a normal thing to me. So yeah, I totally buy that. The idea that we imitates the habit of we imitate the habits of three social groups: the close, the many, and the powerful.
Mhm.
Um, the many is really to me where I get the most benefit. The powerful, I guess, I have a couple people that I follow that I'm really into, that I accept what they consider to be normal, or what they
Mhm.
put out, because they have the gravitas to have a bunch of people following them, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally buy into that.
Yeah. It said in the book too, to join a group where the desired behavior is normal and you already have something in common with the group. And so if you join the group of women about your own age that have gone through the same kinds of things with the same goals, then that's certainly going to help out there, create that environment.
Well, it helps you create thoughts that produce the results that you want. Like, and as just an addition to that, is not only to associate with people that are the thing that you want to be, to limit your association with people that are not the thing that you don't that aren't the thing that you want to
Exactly.
be, or are exactly the opposite of what you want to be. Um, that's a big deal. It's to me it's harder, because as I change and grow and want newer things in my life, new ideas in my life, um, my old associations go against this idea. Like, hang out with people that are doing the thing that you want to do. So I think that the corollary is true also. Don't hang out with people that are doing the thing that you don't want to do.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. One of the comments that he made in here that I thought was really interesting was as far as the three groups of the close, the many, and the powerful. Under the powerful, he commented that once we fit in, we start looking for ways to stand out. And I thought, do we always do that? Do we get into that group and do we necessarily want to be the standout in that group?
I'm embarrassed to say, yeah, I think that might be true. Like, once you accept that something is true, you want to be great at it. Um, yeah, actually, yes, I found that to be true. Um, this whole thing that I'm doing with the weight loss and all of this stuff. I am there. I am accepted, and it is on my mind to stand out, and not necessarily for my own benefit, but um, I don't know. I don't know about that. It
I
goes
think
back.
there's a lot of times I want to fly under the radar, but if I'm being completely honest, there's probably some times that even though that's what I am trying to do,
Uh-huh.
I want to be doing that with excellence. And at
Right,
some point, somebody recognize just how well I am getting everything done and still flying underneath the radar.
right. That's fine. I'm dealing with this thought in a different area of my life, of like that thing of not wanting to be recognized. Um, when you're accepted in the group, and like, where I'm coming to with that is understanding that some of that really has to do with um, being afraid of not being good enough at the thing that I'm doing. So, or thinking that other people don't think that I'm good enough at the thing
Yeah.
that I want to be doing. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's some interesting challenges there. So identifying or finding and fixing the causes of your bad habits. The article started off, or the chapter started off with a bit of a story there about smoking cessation. And on page 126, the way it was framing it was, and this is looking at from the perspective of smoking, but I was also tried to reframe this as how would this sound if I tried to frame it from overeating, from the perspective of overeating. And so the page reads here that stop lying to yourself. You know you don't actually want to smoke, or in this case, you don't actually want to eat. You know you don't really enjoy this. It helps you feel like you're not the victim anymore. You start to realize that you don't need to smoke or to overeat.
Right.
If we kind of, as they're reframing, you think you're quitting something, but you're not quitting anything because cigarettes do nothing for you. You think you're quitting something, but you're not quitting anything because overeating does nothing for you. You think smoking is something you need to do to be social, but it's not. You can be social without smoking at all. You think overeating is something you need to do to be social, but it's not. You can be social without overeating at all. Or just to go to overeating, you think overeating is about relieving stress, but it's not. Overeating does not relieve your nerves, it destroys them.
Right.
And that's a really interesting way of reframing it. As the corollary of, the second law of behavior change is make it unattractive.
Right.
So now overeating, eating all those cookies becomes unattractive.
Well, yeah. And it goes back to like that whole thing that I said at the beginning about like deciding what I want to think about something. I have thought in the past that overeating was relieving my stress, but really it was what I thought about overeating in that moment that was relieving my stress, not the actual act of doing it. So, how do you create that feeling of relaxation without food? Like, what thought do I need to have in order to create that same feeling of that isn't food?
Mhm.
And generally, it's to just sit down and say, I'm taking this moment to relax and see what I'm feeling instead of eating what I'm feeling. Um, that has been really big for me. Like this whole thing of really realizing what it is that I'm doing when I overeat, and it's not what I think it is.
Yeah, yeah. As he was saying, reframing your activity, you get to instead of you have to. I
Yes,
don't have to bypass those cookies. I get to bypass those cookies.
yes. I mean, even that comes down to exercise. Like, I don't have to exercise. I could easily not. I I get to. And I love that. I love that feeling of trying to reframe my thoughts around stuff that, feel like stuff that you should do, but you don't feel like it. Um, I don't have to.
Mhm.
I really don't. I don't have to do anything. Very little things do we have to actually have to do. We have to breathe. The rest of it is a choice. And when I realize that I'm choosing to exercise, that I get to exercise, I'm choosing to eat healthy. I get to eat healthy. It's um, when it's a choice that I'm making consciously, it's something that I'm likely to repeat.
Yeah. I get to exercise because I have a studio when most people do not.
Right.
It's here, it's attractive, make it more attractive for them, even though it is there. And a lot of people would say, oh, if I had my own studio, I'd be in there every day. But at the end of a long day, I mean, you've been in there all day.
Right.
It's the last place I want to spend more time. But making it attractive, and I get to go exercise or I get to train because I have a studio when people don't,
Right.
makes it more attractive.
Right. Exactly. Um, again, it goes back to the like choosing thoughts that serve the habit that I wish to create. And over and over again, I see where like this language that I subconsciously choose about stuff, like that I have to idea. Um, the more I choose to change those things consciously and to pick choices that, or to pick thoughts that serve my new habit, the more likely it is to happen.
That's good stuff. So it sounds kind of like the biggest challenge for these chapters was kind of reframing some of the habit stacking and temptation bundling.
Yes. Yes. Um, Also the idea of like the inversion of the second law and make it unattractive.
Yeah.
Um, I think out of all the things that I'm doing in terms of thought work, that's one of the things that I struggle with the most, just to make things that I like, I have the desire for, to make them unattractive. Um, but I'm getting there.
Mhm.
Um, because I know that it works. Highlight the benefits of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. So there it is. It's not that I have to think that I don't like cookies, but I can think I don't want to be a diabetic. Um, like I will be healthy if I choose to not participate in that habit that I've had for so long. To not unlove the habit, but to love the results of not doing it.
Which helps reinforce the new identity that we want to have.
Exactly.
Yes. That we're going to have, or we have.
I'm having. Um, I read something the other day that said basically that the more you know the more you know about your future self, the more you know what your future self thinks and what belief systems they practice, the sooner you will be that person, and the more you'll desire to be that person. So I've been putting a lot of work in on that, like really defining who future me is and what I believe about myself, what I believe about my purposes, and what I believe about the way I treat my body. I'm really paying a lot, like, I'm writing about that a lot, like what I look like 5 years from now. I mean, not the physicalness of it, but who I am 5 years from now so that I can get there quicker.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's a good vision and a good identity, and helps frame your what you want to accomplish out of that, or between now and then.
Yeah. I mean, like if I was going to go somewhere, if I was going to drive somewhere, I kind of want a map. I want to know where I'm going. Right. So I'm drawing my map right now of where I'm going.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts from this section?
Just that I think this is um, where I could do more work. And I think the thing that sticks out to me most is just that thing of like the conforming to the social norm and picking what group I want to be my social norm. I think that's, what is it? The thing our grandmother used to say, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
I want to be careful what birds I'm hanging out with.
Yeah. Or the more recent saying that you are, what is it, like the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Right.
If that's the case, I want to find 5 really smart, really healthy people.
Exactly. Exactly. People who think the way I want to think.
Yeah.
So yeah, the power of association is huge.
Yeah. There you go. Aspirations. Well, good job. I'm going to hit stop recording here.
Yeah.
There we